like miniature poodles do?
They do not give you any warning and just go straight to barking.
Okay,
So it's
because
not a yap, but it is quite
it
loud.
never fails when we click the go live button. My poodle just goes nuts. So, hey
Mine is just there
everybody,
hanging. It's always at my feet.
it's the final
Awesome.
countdown.
Do-do-do-do. That's really next week.
Yeah,
Do-do-do-do.
right.
I want
Hey
everyone
everybody.
to
Hey
know I'm
NJ.
using the same cup I've been using all week because do you do this? I love a good styrofoam cup, but I feel so guilty about using one because they're so bad for the environment. So when I get one, I will use it until it literally disintegrates. I've been drinking
There's
out of this all week. Yes,
there's
I have
there's
cleaned it.
nothing there's nothing worse than going to a restaurant, getting those just plastic cups with no insulation, and you
Oh God, I hate
leaving,
those.
and they just your ice melts, and they just turn into a watery mess, and they're disgusting. So yes,
Yeah,
I fully endorse your reuse of your styrofoam cup.
thank you.
There, we solved it. Thanks for joining our TED
Done.
Talk. Yeah,
Peace, everyone. Have a good weekend.
right. Oh, it's been a
Oh,
week.
it has been a week.
Yeah.
We got
So
three
we,
people here. Does that count me, you, and NJ? Is that it? Is it just, or is the
I,
total not just me and you? Do we count in the total? Do we count? Just do we count? Period. I don't know.
is anyone besides NJ in the chat? Just give us a thumbs up or something. Give us a number one. You know,
Yeah. Well, what are we here to talk about this week? Newsletters?
well, newsletters. We were supposed to have had, um, uh, a
Jason.
chat with Jason Onspach to, um, to jump off of, and Jason couldn't join us this week. He will be joining us this coming Tuesday, followed on Wednesday by our chat with Craig Martell. And
Yeah.
so next week will be action packed, and we'll have too much to talk about. So
Next week, we really do have so much going on because I just wrote out the newsletter and I think there's like something every day.
every day, every
Every
day,
day.
yeah, it's going to be wild. And um, we had a baby in our family this week. She was a month early, but she's doing well. And mom, dad, and baby, I think are leaving the hospital just about now. About
As we
30 minutes
speak.
ago, my son said that we're just waiting for the doctor to sign our release papers, and we're on our way. So all is wonderful. She's beautiful. She's perfect. She's just a little early, but so there's been a lot of excitement around here. But um, NJ, is it possible to do a tutorial on WordPress? We are doing that
Yeah.
on Monday at noon my time, 1 o'clock Eastern. Um, and this is my WordPress site. If you can't really see it very well there, but it's
How
it's
many
not
monitors do you have beside you right now?
okay. There's 1, 2 in front of me right here, and then this one is my third monitor on attached to this computer, and then this is a separate laptop, and then this is my Kindle,
And
and
what
then
about behind you? Like for the eyes in the back of your head?
yeah, and then I've got a computer on the desk. That's really my wife's. That's her photo editing computer over there. I don't touch. And then I've got my free write over here.
No, what's above your free write?
Just books. Oh,
No.
this is. I'm sorry. This is my tablet that has a Bluetooth keyboard attached. And this is what I took to Vegas with me last year. If you stop by our Dabble booth, we had Dabble running on this little contraption, and this was my portable writing get up that I was using pretty much all last year during our Nano challenge. So yeah,
You're
and then
the
there's
man of many screens.
I think I have ADHD. That's undiagnosed, of course, but something all the time has to be going on.
That
But
would give me ADHD if I didn't have it.
this is my WordPress site as it sits right now, very unfinished. But we're going to talk about, kind of a top banner image, and then how you can feature your books. And I've got some YouTube content here, and then some other books. These are mostly anthologies that I've been a part of. And then I'm going to fill out my some blog content this weekend, and then going to show you some different ways to adjust how you can kind of tailor your WordPress site if you're an author. So yeah,
Nice.
I hope to get more done on that this week than I did, but life is life. And so I'm going to finish it this weekend, and we're going to talk about that on noon Central Time on Monday, or 1:00 Eastern Time. It would be standard podcast time, but Doug has something going on. Yeah. What does he have going on Monday, by the way?
It wasn't dialogue. Exposition. Exposition doesn't have to be a dirty word, I think was the title
I
of
knew
his
he had
workshop.
something coming up. I just couldn't remember.
Yeah, I think that's it. So, all right. Well, we're taking questions, right?
Yeah. NJ, do you have a WordPress site, by the way? Or is this just a general website observation? Because when we kind of look behind the curtains on Monday at WordPress, I might can help you solve that problem if it's a WordPress site. If it's not, maybe we can figure it out, but we'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
I do have a WordPress site, but I'm not sure how to fix it. Okay. So we will start on Monday by looking at themes, and it is something that can be replaced. It might be easier to replace the theme or edit the functions of a theme. So that's some of the things we're going to get into Monday. So, but we can solve that problem. I feel confident we can. Any other questions that anybody have questions about newsletters, about how's your ARC process coming, Abby? I know you've got copies of your ARCs, and are you working at you're shooting for a November release, correct?
I'm shooting for November 25th. So technically, I can't even put my pre-order up until the 25th, I think, of August, right? Because that's 90 days out.
Yeah.
So I'm still a couple days shy of being able to really pull the trigger. So I ended up with, I ordered 13 books off of Lulu.
Okay.
They came, and I don't know, you may or may not be able to see right
just a little
here.
Trim issue there. Yeah.
There's a trim issue, cut off the name of my illustrator. So he actually moved his name kind of down here further, which my UPC code will go down there anyway, I guess right here, which I've bought that, but I didn't put it on the ARCs because I saw when you go to register those, that was another thing. They suggested it not being more than 90 days away from your release. I feel like 90 days, there's something about that seems to be a sweet spot where there's a lot of stuff that goes down right around the 90-day mark.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I did fix my cover, and I have to say that I was concerned about, because I need to order 50 or 60 more books because I've had such a big response where people want the print book because they're giving it to children. And I am finding that the only people that have said yes to the EPUB version have been adults who want to just read it for themselves and offer a review.
Sure.
And so I was hesitant to order 50 or 60 more books from Lulu if it was going to come and be cut off again. So I had them double check my ARC through their customer service, and they were very lovely, and they offered to replace the first 13 books that I ordered. Because I did show them where it was within bounds, on my original screenshot. And, my question to them, this was Abby hoping for free books, but in like the nicest way, where I was like, could you double check my work, please? Because this is what I sent and this is what I got.
Well, and that's a great lesson
So,
to, this is a collaborative process between the printer and you. And if something is not exactly right, speak up. This is, you're paying them. You're a customer that you don't have to just accept, well, that's just
what
how it is.
comes?
No,
Yeah.
it's not how it is. You keep working on it until you get it just the way you want it. And NJ, I
Yeah.
got your email. My life's been chaos this week. I will reply to you. I promise.
You guys, we get the first 3 copies. Oh, your paperbacks came. I'm so glad.
I know.
Yeah,
I
so
can't wait to see
what
'em.
what I have found, and I think I'm going to remember this for the next
Yeah.
time, is like, okay, where's my finger? So like this little image, I
Mhm.
think if Finn had moved it over to where it fit in that space a little bit better. Same thing with my little dandelion, sort of moved it over right
Yeah.
here. I think if we had hugged the images to the
Right.
body a little bit more, that might have worked better. So if you're designing your own cover, you guys remember that. Pull your stuff in, leave yourself a little extra bit on the edge, because I think that might be key.
Yeah, and if
So,
you've never printed a book, that's not something you think to check. You think, "Oh, I'm gonna make a
yeah.
PDF, it's gonna look exactly like the PDF," and it
Mhm.
is until they cut it,
To an
and
extent. Mhm.
yeah, so you're
Well, I'm supposed to get. I thought I was getting a box from Books By last week,
yeah,
because I thought that's what my shipping estimate said. And turns out I can't even get my tracking number to update, but USPS had them in Georgia 2 days ago. And so I
well,
would
that
think they'd be
stinks.
here in Florida by now, and they are not. And so
Ooh,
I'm hesitant to order more books through them, because they seem to, even though Lulu sent them on the slow boat, they were here in a week, and Books By has taken a lot longer. So I don't know. Books By is going to be, they're kind of on my I don't know list.
yeah.
I'd like to order from Ingram Spark next. So I might actually, their books are half the price of what Lulu's were, Ingram Sparks. So I'm kind of like slowly figuring it all out. We have some newsletter questions now. We have run our mouths long enough, Hank, that
We
NJ has filled our coffers here
I like
with
to think that
questions.
we warmed the audience up.
Get my talking in for the day.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. How often do you guys send out newsletters? Hank, how often do you send them out? Because I sent them out once a week for Dabble. I send them
Not
out never for myself.
not nearly often enough, but I am getting ready to start my newsletter promotion for my new book coming out in November. And I have typically, when I don't have anything to say, anything to promote, I'll send a newsletter out about once a quarter with just like podcast and just stuff like that, just to kind of keep in touch with my folks. But when I'm on in book promotion mode, I like to send one out about every 2 weeks and have some news, some cover art, some little fun background information about the story of the book, or kind of where it came from, or stuff that just uh stuff that matters to the story but is not necessarily crucial to the story, um and then just to kind of keep in touch, to keep people, to keep the idea of my book kind of toward the front of people's mind. And then of course with a pre-order link and all that down uh, in the newsletter. One thing interesting that I saw, and I think you shared it a few weeks ago. Jim Butcher just relaunched his newsletter, and his had been dormant for quite a few years. And he started it. He's got a new book coming out in January, and he did like 10 newsletters in 10 days or something like that, like one a day. I think just to kind of get it primed and to get people thinking about it. And he told a little bit of backstory about the book and some things about him.
I wondered if that was an evergreen sequence that he gave you when you first signed up, because I signed up and then got 10 in a row.
I think it was. I think that was just his way of, and it was someone on his publicity team, I'm sure, that came up with that. And I think it was just a way to get people thinking about his new release coming up in January. And I will bet that as the end of October rolls around, when we get kind of in that 90-day window, like you talked about, I'll bet we start seeing one about every week, every 2 weeks or something like that, just to get people amped up and excited about the new Dresden Files book coming up.
That might be something to do a little, man, I wish I had thought about this before, like literally the words are just coming out of my mouth right now. Just go to a bunch of random authors' websites and sign up. Like, even if they're not somebody you read, like even if you don't read Jim Butcher, go sign up for Jim Butcher's newsletter and see what he does. Yes.
Yeah. I'll give you an example of some stuff that I'm going to be sending out in my newsletter over the next couple of weeks. The series that I've got launching in November is about, it's a kind of a space opera sci-fi kind of take on Han Solo, if it will, because I'm not a military guy. I've never served in the military. I don't pretend to know all the ins and outs of like Space Marines, because I've never lived in that world. Like, I live in the South. I know about guns. I know about hunting. I don't understand about like military. I'm just not that well versed. I can carry on a conversation. I stay up with politics. I've never served in the military, so I'm not going to write that kind of series. Like my friend Nick Cole, they write. He and Jason write like military sci-fi because they served in the military. They understand, and that's kind of their core audience. But that's not me, so I can't do it. But I could write Han Solo because he's kind of a, he's kind of a rogue, and I'm a bit of a rogue.
You're kind of a rogue.
I'm kind of a rogue, so like, I like those kind of stories, but I can't write that kind of story. So anyway, but the story I told is about a guy. They're about 200 years in the future, and this guy inherits a spaceship, a cargo ship from his father. And they had a relationship where they bonded over like 80s memorabilia. And one thing that they loved was the Charlie Brown cartoons, where, if you remember, Snoopy flew like his doghouse, as the Red Baron.
Red Baron.
And so the name of his spaceship is the Beagle, and it's like call sign B3G1 13, like Beagle, but spelled anyway. And it's just kind of an inside joke. It really doesn't mean anything. Like, it doesn't mean anything to the story, other than it signifies bond between the two men, and his father died in action and all that, and so he's honoring his dad's memory, and his spaceship's called the Beagle, and it's only a callback to this thing that they shared. Well, in one of the newsletters I'm going to send out, it kind of tells the story behind why it's called the Beagle and why they bonded over that. And, just you don't need that to get anything out of the series, but I hope that someone will like that they get that little peek behind the scenes of what's going on. So anyway, things like that. I've written like a number of essays and just kind of, narrative nonfiction sorts of peek behind the curtain kind of thing. So I'm going to be sending stuff like that out in my newsletter.
Yeah, that's super cool. I know. I keep thinking about like, what would I even put in mine? And everybody's always like, well, Abby, you can put in, all right. So like, I know, yes, I have pictures of this rooster who came from my yard.
You mean
And I guess
Handsome
there's part
Dan?
of me that I'm like, Handsome Dan. I guess they just think, well, that can't be that interesting to people.
Yes, it can. People want to know the story behind Handsome Dan. I promise you.
Handsome Dan. Well, Handsome Dan and Uncle Frank were my two roosters at one point, but we're not going to discuss Uncle Frank. So.
Everybody had an Uncle Frank. Just saying.
I did.
Yeah.
But
NJ.
Oh wait.
Oh.
I tried to hide it when you put the next one up. I'm not touching it. You do the next one.
This is not chronologically the next one, but it's just
Two
the
drivers.
one that caught my eye. When announcing a new novel,
Okay.
do you come up with a new splurb for the newsletter or stick with the one on the book?
Good question.
That is a good question. I would think
I stuck with the one on the book because I'm lazy.
I would default to the one on the book. Okay, so here's a hot take. This is right off the top of my head, and it may make sense or it may not. I would go with the one on the book, but if you're in a mode where you're sending out newsletters more often, like if it's kind of book promotion time and you're talking to people specifically about, like I was talking about the little stories behind the book, you could find way, if like, for instance, if we're talking about the history behind the name of the beagle, if you could then craft a blurb that sort of leans into that. So I would default to your kind of settled blurb, but if you're talking about specific information, maybe tailor that the blurb, the pitch in the newsletter to kind of lean into what you've talked about in that. I would default to your standard blurb so that you're consistent, but maybe lean into the specific information you're talking about that time if it's appropriate. Did that just muddy the waters? Okay.
Maybe.
All right.
I think that the true answer is there's no right or wrong answer.
Exactly.
And you can join the lazy club with me because I just pulled it right off the back of the book. I do think I trimmed some pieces.
Yeah.
At one point, and I don't remember where then I put those pieces, to be honest with you. I don't remember why I needed a shorter version, but I do have a shorter and a longer version. But I default to lazy. That's my answer. I'm sticking to it. I'm so antsy today. You guys are lucky I'm just sitting still answering questions.
And I think there is some solid brain science behind consistency and delivering that consistent message over and over again. I think there's lots of people smarter than us have figured out in advertising over the decades that when you first launch a project, you tell someone about it, they ignore it, they see it again. It sticks a little more. By like the fourth or fifth time they see the same thing, then they start to kind of realize that it's a thing. And you've talked to them, 10 times about it already before they ever recognize that they've heard about it before. I worked in radio for a long time, and anytime a record company was going to break a new song, they would play it. Most people would ignore it. They'd play it again, ignore it. Once they'd heard it 5 or 6 times, then all of a sudden it became catchy in the back of their head and they wanted to hear it more. And that's how you get to the point where we're all disgusted with songs because it's been beat into our head so many times. And so
when they release trailers for movies,
yeah,
how when it comes out, like the first 1 or 2 of them, you're like, I don't even know what the heck the movie's about.
Right.
Like you literally get no plot. You just, and it's like, it's not until I don't know how many trailers, because usually they do 2 or 3, right? It's
Mhm.
like the last one that you finally put together. What's even going on?
Right.
I wonder if they're leaning into that in a different way.
I would bet that they are, because and then sometimes you'll watch a movie and you'll be like, "Well, I've seen this entire movie in the trailer." Like I saw all the monumental like moments, they've all been given to me and I just didn't have I,
The
I didn't
context
put
to
it,
know what
yeah,
they meant.
exactly, the context is what's
I
missing.
hate it when you watch the movie and their pieces of the trailer are like they were cut from the on the
Yes.
floor. That's where they
Yeah.
picked it up, and
Yeah.
then you
You're like,
really
"Where's the
don't know
thing you
what's going
sold
on.
me?" Yeah.
Yeah, where's that joke you must have cut out? That
Mm.
was why I came, was for that joke. Um, how long should a newsletter be, Hank? I
I
can tell you guys with the Dabble newsletters, I lean towards short.
Yeah, I
I mean,
I
it
think
might depend.
it should be as long as you feel like you can hold your reader's attention. If you've, uh, I think I mean, and author newsletters are a little different because this is a newsletter from a storyteller. So I think people's expectations are a little different. Like with the Dabble newsletter, and I don't send the Dabble newsletter, so correct me. Um, but you do. But
I
I
sign your
feel
name sometimes, by the way,
well. Thank you for
just so
that,
you know.
and that's perfectly fine. But I feel like people are accustomed to they glance at they want to see what we've got coming up.
Yep.
If we're having a deal or something, they want to know that, and they kind of want to get that at a glance.
Mhm.
If they're used to someone telling them stories, I kind of feel like there's a different expectation from that.
Mhm.
And if you set the expectation that if you get a newsletter from me, you're going to get some sort of background information, and you know, I think newsletters are what, and I can't think of a better way to phrase this, so I'm just going to say the horrible way is what you've trained your readers to expect. I
Mhm.
hate the way that sounds, but it's kind of people like
No.
come to expect things from you, and it's what you have. It's the expectation that you've set is what they will expect to receive. So I don't know. I feel like I'm just saying a lot of
It's
words.
so when I did email stuff for Author Accelerator, I went to this
Yeah.
really interesting, actually, it was ConvertKit did a conference. And so
Okay.
all of us on staff went to the ConvertKit conference and we kind of split up. And
Yeah.
I was assigned like all the email workshops to go to, which was weird because I didn't write any of the emails, but whatever, I went. And so there was one lady who said that there were like 4 different archetypes for people who read emails. And I can only really remember 3 of them. But one is like that person that opens it up and they
Yeah.
already know whether or not they're going to buy whatever it is that you're selling, right? And so you just get right to the point and tell them because they need about 2 seconds and they're in, right? Then there's a second person who is like, they are the person who reads every word, they click every link, they do all the fine print, and they probably have to read it a couple of times before they decide that they want to buy in to whatever you're selling. The third person is kind of in the middle, right? Which would make sense. Like oh, I know what the fourth one was. You have to emotionally appeal to them. So you have to appeal to their emotions to get them to buy into whatever it is that you're selling. So she said the trick was not a single email, but in an email sequence, you
Okay.
have to hit all 4 of the archetypes at some point during your sequence. So what might be worth it if the newsletter is someplace where you are going to ultimately devote a lot of focus. If you are someone who really wants to explore direct sales as well. The newsletter list is so crucial to those direct sales that it might be worth kind of some of that A/B testing. Send a couple short emails, send a couple really long emails, send some that have links to your podcast, links to your blog, links to your whatever. I know NJ also asked about that. See if people are clicking on links. Right? Because you can tell that from the back end of your newsletter. And I think this is really crucial. This is something that we should probably talk about at some point today. Don't be upset when people unsubscribe, because if they unsubscribe, they probably weren't going to buy your book anyway. Right. And so like, you're just not, your flavor is not their thing. And I say that willing to admit that I am butthurt every time someone unsubscribes to the Dabble email. Like, I take it as a personal affront to me. Right. Particularly if somebody marks it as spam. I'm like, but you signed up in the first place. How is it spam? And I have to remind myself that it's actually okay and it's healthy and it's what we want, because you want your email list. It's better to have fewer people who are actively invested in what it is that you're doing than it is to have 10,000 followers, none of which who are paying a lick of attention to you. Yeah. And so,
and I think the idea is that, well, those were potential sales.
Were they?
Were they though? You know, and you just kind of have to swallow that hard truth. You know, that was a number that was just kind of inflating my ego, and I've got to let go of that ego. This is about selling books, and it's not a popularity contest.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Nick and Jason, and I think Jason will attest to this, Tuesday when he's on, I think they, and Nick talked about this, about, kind of refining down to a point, going sub genre. And it feels like you're isolating your audience when in actuality, you're finding something that more people can connect to. And it's a weird thing. And I really want to pick Jason's brain about that.
Subscribe to that.
Yeah, because I really think he cracked the code on that. And I think we're going to get some interesting insight about that.
Because think about them, okay? They write this military sci-fi, and they write it from a point of view of veterans themselves who have lived, maybe not that action in space, right? But like, they've lived that action enough that their imaginations can transfer it into space, and it's real. And that's what they've done, is they have created something real and authentic that people who have never lived that experience, like you or like me, can connect with, because it does feel real. It doesn't feel arbitrary or made up, or like, well, maybe that could possibly happen. Like, they have leaned into their experience to create an authentic, made up world, which sounds totally like oxymoron, but it's not.
But that's kind of why we read fiction, so that we can experience lives that we've never gotten to experience. And it takes an author who has, you know, had a foot in that world, who can then bring that world to the rest of us, so that we don't have to sit in a tank in Afghanistan and understand
in order
what
to
feels like.
Because your brain doesn't know the difference between living and reading, right? I mean, that with that whole Wired for Story thing, Lisa Cron, your brain can't tell the difference, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've really gone off track from how long or short should a newsletter be. All right, here we go. Do you pick a day to send out a newsletter and stick to a schedule, or do you just send every time you have something new to say? I mean, we know what the conventional wisdom says. Conventional wisdom says, be consistent, do it on the same day, do it on the same time. People come to expect it, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
I changed up the Dabble newsletter from Thursdays to Mondays, and I did not see a drop in people opening or an increase in people opening. It stayed pretty consistent. I mean, it was still once a week, but I switched up the days. I mean,
I don't know that newsletters are that. I don't know that
rigid.
people are that persnickety about newsletters. Like if you talk about podcasting or live streaming, I'm
Mhm.
very much. That's one reason that we have standard podcast time. We try to get our events, close to the same time because people come to expect that and they come to tune in to that. But that's a whole different thing than something popping into your email box. I don't
And
know that it
that's,
makes that much difference in your email
I
box.
was going to say, the way you run the podcast too is different from the way I used to run
Yeah.
my podcast, which was we recorded every week and we actually banked a ton of episodes before we
Yeah.
even launched one. We had a whole strategy behind launching it, and we released an episode. It was like every Wednesday or every Thursday at noon.
Yeah.
Like I scheduled it, it went out, it was like clockwork, it was boom, 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 boom. And if we had to skip a week for some reason, it was a throwback kind of pot. And I'd
Yes.
re-release just
Yeah.
so I had something going out to that audience all the time
Yes.
at the same time.
Yeah. And that's when I was running author stories, I did that.
Mhm.
I had a set time. It always released on that time. I recorded ahead of time, but because we live stream our podcast as we do it, that's a whole,
Different.
it's a different world. It is. But
Yeah.
that's why we try to be consistent with our live streams. And then our podcast still comes out every Friday morning by about 10 a.m., like every Friday, like it's, like clockwork.
And wouldn't you agree that if you're getting a newsletter from a company like Dabble, right, you might expect a more consistent release. But if you're
Yeah.
getting something from an individual who is a creative, you might have a little more play there.
Yeah. I don't know that it just matters that much. Like I understand that we send the Dabble newsletter on certain days
Yeah.
and people come to expect. I get that, but like you said, I would rather you hold it until you have something to say to me than just to send it every Tuesday because you always send it on Tuesday.
All right, let's see what Jim Butcher did.
Okay.
I just went to my email app and I typed in Jim Butcher. All right, so I got one on 710 to subscribe to confirm his subscription.
Okay.
Welcome to Jim Butcher's newsletter on 710. Then I got one on 711, 712, 713, 714, 715. All right, so then that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I had it was a week's worth of that has to be an evergreen sequence, because each one of them also said, welcome to Jim Butcher's newsletter, 1 of 6, 2 of 6, 3 of 6. So it actually said that in his subject line.
Yeah. And
then I got one. Yeah.
My first one was on July the 11th, and it's numbered 1 of 6, which confirms what you said earlier about, do you think these were banked up and just started? Yeah, I think that's true.
Hold on. Because my buds died, and I think until I plug them back in, say something.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you now.
Yeah. I was just saying that I also searched for Jim, and I got that series of emails, but mine started on July the 11th.
Yeah.
A day after you, but I still got the series of emails, which I think confirms your suspicion.
So my last one was July 15th. I got one on August 5th, and I haven't gotten one since then. Okay. And it was a cover reveal. By the way, I never opened it, but it was a cover reveal. Did you get that one?
I'm looking now because mine is a little different from yours because I have Jim mixed in with his promotion team. So I saw the cover reveal a minute ago.
Fire News from the Wizard Crossed Swords. That's the name of
Yes, that's it. I got that on August 5th.
As well. So, and I don't have one since then. So if that tells you anything, I'm betting he's doing it once a month.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think he's kind of taken the idea of I'll wait until I have something to share. But I'll bet you anything that as we get within that 90-day launch window, I bet we start seeing more and more from Mr. Butcher.
Yeah. So that would be
That's a
interesting
theory
to find a couple
test.
people who have some coming out soon
Yeah.
and signing up and seeing.
Let
Like,
me-
who would you, if you had to make a list, Hank, of somebody that you knew had a book coming out in the next 90 days, besides me and you? I mean, everybody can sign up for my newsletter, but I don't know what's going to come from that. I'm just going to be real honest.
Let's see. Who would be a good one to follow? I was just looking at Rick Partlow's website to see, because he has a release about every 90 days, it feels like, but I don't see an easy. Okay. Subscribe to my blog via email. Not a.
I know Amy Timberlake. She's MG. She has one coming out in October.
Okay.
So she might be one to watch. She's traditionally published, has won awards. She's MG. It's the third in a series. So she's got plenty of stuff that I would think she could promote with it. I don't know if she has a sign up on her newsletter thing though.
John Grisham does. I know he has a release coming up in October, I think. So I just subscribed to his email newsletter. David Baldacci has a very active newsletter. I get it all the time. Let's see. If you go to his website, he has, okay, if you go to, let me just share this real quick. It might be helpful. Let me share screen, window. Okay. So if you go to David Baldacci's site, when you first pop on, he's got his new book that's coming out, and then right below that, sign up to receive email newsletters from David, and it's just right at the fold. So as soon as you land on it, you see the sign up for his, and he has a very active. As a matter of fact, let me search my email and see how often he sends out. Let's see.
All right. So here's one. My friend May Respicio, she's got a book coming out really soon. I just went to her website and it was a pop-up box.
Yeah.
It says May's very infrequent newsletter shares books news, writing tips, author friends Q&As, and the occasional typo. This is why we're friends.
That's
can't believe I'm not subscribed. I'm going to subscribe to that one. I also went to my friend Jamie Sumner's website and she did not have a newsletter at all. And I was like, all right, girl, rock on. That is why we're friends.
Right. Baldacci, I've got an email from him June 12th. Well, let's see. June 12th, April 15th, May 14th. So it looks like he sends it about once a month. But I think he's very consistent with that once a month, because I was thinking I always see emails from him. Even though it's once a month, he's very consistent with it. So that feels on brand for that.
Like, let's be real here. You're wanting to do it. You don't know what to do. You're testing the waters. You want to know if you should be consistent or not. I mean, looking at because we can find somebody who sends all the time. We can find somebody who never sends. We can find somebody who doesn't have one at all. We can find examples of basically everything that you're looking for. Like whatever your theory is about newsletter, we can probably find evidence that someone is following that particular strategy.
Yeah.
But I would think once a month, very consistently, form a habit, see how it lands. The closer you get to a release, up your frequency. The
Yes.
farther away from your release you get, lessen your frequency. That sounds doable. It also sounds reasonable. I mean, those sound like things to do. And I am kicking myself that I don't have a newsletter. I don't have a list. You want to know who's on my email list, you guys? My alternate personal email, the one that all my spam goes to. That's what I signed up for my own newsletter with, my spam email. So that has been the one part of the whole process that like I haven't wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I know I should tackle it because I also very much so want to do direct sales. So
yeah.
Oh, NJ, thank you. I can't find Hank's website if he has one. He does.
He does, but I don't have a newsletter sign up on it yet. That's one thing that I'm going to fix this weekend. Yeah. Yeah. I have a newsletter. I just don't have the sign up on the site. So
you can also find Abby Matthews, the photographer, which made me very angry when I was doing photography that another Abby Matthews, 1T last name, had the .com and was doing photography, and I was very mad. So
that stinks.
It was very stinky. So I have abbymatthews.org. Fan fiction is a great free thing, wouldn't you say, Hank?
Yeah. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. I would think that would be a real easy thing to share.
Yeah.
Because you're not selling it, so you can't get in trouble.
Yeah. And I think as long as you clearly label it as fan fiction, I don't know anybody that's going to have a conniption about that.
Having a joining gift ready for new subscribers. That is one thing that you can do, is have a lead magnet that you offer people in exchange for giving their email address.
Yeah.
That was,
but it's a good idea. You don't have to, but it's a good idea.
Yeah. Like I just gave Jim Butcher and May Respicio, I was willing to give Jamie Sumner, but she didn't have it, my email, in exchange for nothing.
Right.
But something for free, not a bad thing. Especially if you're trying to get a cold audience that doesn't already know you, doesn't already know your name, doesn't already know to like look for you, that sort of thing.
Right.
All right. How do you know that they open the email? Here's a good logistical question. So I can see on the back end, usually, so like MailerLite is the one that we use for Dabble. I've used MailChimp in the past, and there was another one that I used, I want to say with Author Accelerator. I can't remember, but they all have very similar things where you go in the back end of the email, it tells you what your campaign is, you click on it, and it will give you a report. And oftentimes it will give you things like a percentage. So usually you have an open rate.
Right.
You have a percentage of people who have clicked on a link. If you have multiple links, it will tell you what percentage clicked on this one versus this one versus this one. Usually you can go into an individual person's email address and see if they've been opening things, correct, Hank? But that's that's not in the report. You have to kind of like search that information out a little more individually. But they will give you a report that tells you, and if your numbers are pretty consistent over time, I think you're doing, well. What's a good open rate? Because like God, at Happy Writer, we had an amazing open rate. It was like 50 or 60%. I think we have like 34, 35, 36.
I think email open rates are kind of like baseball batting averages. A lower number is actually kind of amazing. Like the 30%, 30 to 50%, I think is successful. And you think about, well, that's only a third of the people are opening my email. Yeah, but it's a third of the people are consistently opening your email. And So yeah, I think 30 to 50% is considered successful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're feeling down and out, go to your own email box and see how many of the newsletters you consistently read. And, that'll help you to give your email newsletter readers a little more grace.
I would like to show everyone. Do you see that? Do you see that number?
33,000.
Yeah, usually my unread text message number is higher as well. Usually it's 40 or 50 by the end of the day because I ignore everything. 33,781.
That makes me feel a little worse about my email neuroses. I have to maintain 0 unread emails at all times. And I think that's just like a personal hang up with me.
I've shot for that on a couple days of my life, Hank.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I call it like email bankruptcy, inbox bankruptcy. And I literally just everything,
Yeah.
and it makes me feel better. But then,
I mean, I get it.
For like a week, I'm like, woohoo, look, I have no emails.
Look at me.
But even if I look at all 10 of those text messages, I don't know there is one unread buried text message somewhere in my thread that I cannot find. Even if I read everything that I think I've been given, there's still one that it's mystery. So I can't get that number to 0. So I just kind of given up. I'm just like, whatever. Okay. Yeah. But this is, again, art major. My husband will tell you I'm just riding the river of life. I don't really care. I'm just like, oh. So, okay. What else? Speaking of podcasts, Rachel's got a question. All right, I got to sit on my foot again. Hold on. Let's see. Speaking of podcasts, would it be a good marketing way to promote a book or do book readings on the podcast? Like if you went into a bookstore?
This is such a loaded question. Yes, maybe not in the way you're expecting. And I want to say this in a way that doesn't discourage anyone, but just gives you a realistic view. Podcasting or doing a book reading on YouTube is a long game. You have to go into it assuming you will get 0 return on your effort for a year. And you just have to be willing to do that. The idea that, I'm going to create a podcast, I'm going to put it up. That show on Hulu, Only Murders in the Building. Have you watched that?
Mm-hmm.
Like they launched this podcast and they have like 5,000 listeners on launch day. Is not the way it works. It is not the way it works. What you're building when you do that is a back catalog for when people do discover you, they have things to go binge while they wait on you to create more work. Mm-hmm. That's the way you have to look at it. I'm building a back catalog, not that I'm going to do this and I'm going to be successful tomorrow. That's not how it works. Is it important and can it be valuable? Yes. Keep your expectations real, so that when you do become successful, people have more content from you to absorb while they wait on you to generate more content.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that kind of leads into NJ's question, because if you're running your own podcast is different from if you're going on someone else's podcast. Both times you're generating content that people can use eventually to either find you or search for you later and find that you've spoken about your book, et cetera, et cetera. If you're doing your own podcast, because if you're going on someone else's, you're sort of beholden to whatever their structure is. Yes. So like Hank's structure is different from the structure that I used when we ran our podcast. We actually never had very many guests. We would only occasionally host a guest. And as a matter of fact, when a PR person would reach out to me and say, I would like to get so-and-so on your podcast. I mean, usually my first gut response was, well, you've never listened to my podcast
Right.
if you think that
Yeah.
we're taking a bunch of guests. And we would take guests because we wanted to help out other writers. But our podcast was different. We were being live coached on a story on air. So if you're setting up your own podcast, you can come up with the structure that is going to work for you. So if you want it to be more like a radio show where you are essentially producing maybe a book, a chapter at a time, give it a shot. You know, so like my friend Travis Beecham, he's done a couple of, they're like, it's like a cross between a podcast and a radio show and a book, like a play, because it's not really a narrated audiobook, because he has multiple people who are all acting out the different parts of his stories.
Theater of the mind kind of stuff.
Theater. Well, so it was called Impact Winter was the name of his. And full disclosure, I never listened to it because it was dystopian, and dystopian makes my tummy feel weird. And then I can't stop thinking about it and I can't sleep. So
Understood.
I didn't listen. I felt bad, but I love Travis and he loved making it. I mean, he was beside himself making this like, I don't even know what he called it because it wasn't really a podcast, but it wasn't, I don't know what bucket it fit in.
Yeah.
But there were like billboards on the side of the road with it and stuff. So, I mean.
Wow. Okay. So first I have a couple of ideas about this. First off, podcasting is refers to the delivery method and not the format. So that's what a lot of people confuse, that it is strictly a delivery format. It's the fact that you take an audio file, put it within an RSS feed, and then you have programs that look for those RSS feeds and then download and then send to your iPod, which is where podcast came from. So we don't have iPods anymore, but that's, I have always done more of an interview format because when I started, I wanted to get to know other writers and pick their brain. That was my whole, reasoning in the beginning. So that's why I started doing it the way I do. I've heard people do like serialized audiobooks almost, which is kind of what you're referring to, kind of.
Yeah.
And that has worked very well. I would say just don't get so hung up on, find something that interests you and put some passion into it and be consistent. See it. If you're going to do like an audio play version of your book, see it all the way through. Just be consistent with it.
So Impact Winter says it's a podcast series on IMDb.
Okay.
That's how it just says podcast series. So that's how they, I guess, categorized it. I just put a link to the IMDb in the thing, which is weird. Do podcasts have IMDb, or does Travis have that because he also wrote Pacific Rim and Carnival Row? Like, he's a screenwriter. I don't know, but he is an IMDb, so there it is.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Huh. The whole thing is that the format is open, and I would say approach it in the same way that indie publishing has kind of been, a wide open Wild West, of just looking for new and innovative things that people were not allowed to do within the traditional structure, and you can do anything you want to do. So try it and find out.
This is a good question for you because we never did ours live. So I don't know. I liked it pre-recorded because that gave us a break sometimes in between. If somebody wanted to take a vacation or somebody wanted to do this or that, we could still keep up that consistency because we always had like 20 episodes in our back pocket.
Yeah.
So actually, when we decided we were done recording and we were toast and it still went on.
Yeah.
Because we had a bunch of material that was there, and we also had a sound editor who did it. I started off doing it myself. I have a terrible ear for audio quality. So I passed that off to somebody who knew what they were doing. And so we had a whole format. There was a rhythm to it. That was a nice habit. We kept it going. But why did you decide to go live, Hank?
I didn't.
You didn't?
Robert Smith decided that. So
we should ask Robert.
this was a series of conversations, but I think because YouTube is owned by Google, we decided that generating content for YouTube helps our search results. And, that was kind of a natural outgrowth of that. The way I have always preferred to do it is pre-recorded, and then I can take my time producing it afterwards and all of that. But, the reality of content generation in 2025 is, probably YouTube is the better, way to go about that.
Here's the question about your process with that, Hank. So, because I hear you say things sometimes like, oh, I produced my podcast today. So are we recording it live on YouTube? People can watch it streamed. It's on the Dabble channel, but then you take that video, pull it out. You can condense the audio, cut out the cut out any side tangents we might go off on, et cetera, fix your audio, and then send it to the RSS feed.
Yes.
So you really get the best of both worlds in some ways.
Yes. And then if we have any news that came up after the fact, we can drop that into the podcast and all of that. So, and then some people don't want to watch a YouTube video; they just want to listen on their drive to work, and then they have that option. So we try to cover both bases.
Yeah, we should get Robert to come do a Q&A.
Yeah, we'll grill him.
Yeah. But did we miss any questions? Let me say, with mail. Okay, here's one that I don't think we've answered. With MailChimp and all that, do you make a new email or use an existing one? We always had, so like at Dabble, we have one that it goes out from that's not any one of our actual emails.
Right.
But I think if it's your own, so I know a lot of people who with their website will have an email that says like hello at abbymatthews.org, or, it'll be team at whatever, or you can have newsletter at, whatever. You can make one like that so that when you're sending, potentially thousands of people a message, the replies aren't all coming to your 33,000, whatever inbox. You can have them go to a separate inbox so that that's easy for you to monitor. And that way too, people don't have access to your personal email address. So I know, my email address at abbymatthews.org is not actually Abby at abbymatthews.org. It's something that I don't give anybody. And so, because I need at least one that is manageable. And that's
I had mine set to just my Gmail address, which I've had since Gmail launched. And it's a very simple email address because I got it when none of them were taken. And I'm revamping that now because I don't want that address just out everywhere.
Yeah. So I don't think that's a bad idea to make a new one, especially if you're worried about things like privacy.
Right.
So.
Exactly.
All right. I'm thinking this might be the last one that I see that we haven't covered. Is it an either or situation between newsletters and blogs, or is it a pairing thing?
Well, we talked last week about, whether whether you can consistently generate content for a blog and whether you should have a blog or not. Um, I'm still kind of a fan of blogging and having a place where you could have your random thoughts and, like some of those behind the scenes things, like I talked about the history of the Beagle kind of thing. Like that's a perfect thing to put on a blog. Like if someone's interested in that stuff, there should be a place where you kind of archive all that stuff. Um, and and so I liked if you're going to generate that kind of content, I think pulling some of that out and putting it in your newsletter, maybe with a lead paragraph, if you like this, click here and read the rest of it, kind of thing. I think I think that's a perfect pairing of it. If you have a blog, you post something, and then for 6 months you don't post anything else, I wouldn't bring a lot of attention to that because people are going to click over there and go, well, this is kind of a ghost town, and then that, people are going to feel some way about it. So if it's something that you're going to put effort into, highlight it. If not, don't shine a light on it.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Oh, Hail Mary question. Where would poetry fit on a blog or website for those who write that style? Probably, again, 6 one, half dozen of the other.
Yeah, I think it's whatever you have, whatever your readers have come to expect. If poetry is kind of a side thing for you, put it on your blog and give it a category, poetry, where they can click on it, see all your poetry. If you are kind of primarily a poet, put it front and center on your website. It just kind of all depends on how you're using it and how you want people to interact with it. What you're getting a lot of today is it all depends, and it depends on what you do and how people are accustomed to interacting with you.
There's no wrong answers, and if you can come up with something that's different or weird or odd, like you don't know when it's going to catch on. Yeah,
right.
So, like, what basic information, Rachel says, do you think needs to be on a blog? Whatever you want it to, like John, I was saying his last name wrong. Not Scalzi.
Scalzi. He puts everything on his blog.
I mean, he literally, I keep really focusing on this whole fruit thing that he did, but like he came home with, I don't know if it was a melon. I can't remember exactly if it was a melon or an orange, but he liked the name of the type of fruit. So he brought it home. He photographed it. He ate it. He gave a whole review about its sweetness and how like the whole thing, like just, it really paired up with its name and yada, yada. And apparently there was enough people that thought that was funny that they're like, backed by popular demand, this time we found us something or other piece of fruit and we're going to.
It kind of becomes a running joke on there, like their callbacks that you're like, yeah.
And so, I mean, if you have enough people who follow you that you can stumble upon, and I think that's just it too. He just stumbled upon it and people thought it was funny. And so he ran with it. I mean, it's almost like a game of improv. Right. So yes, and let's do this now.
And I think, and I wish more people would do this, is that a lot of people abandon their blogs for Facebook, for Twitter, for what's the one that
TikTok?
People post? Well, no, I'm thinking about the one where people posted a lot of animated GIFs. I can't think of it. They abandoned their blogs for that, and then realized once they had abandoned it that then they were subject to the algorithms and they weren't getting what they hoped that it would get.
Yeah.
Well, Scalzi never abandoned his, and he maintained his community. And I think you're going to see a lot of people kind of come back to, and they're doing this a little bit with what's the newsletter platform that everyone's going to? Substack. Yes. And I think that's better, but you're still subject
to someone else's
Yes.
ground to build your house.
Yes. And I don't feel much better about that than Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram is not what I'm searching for, Rachel. I'll think of it.
X is what
No.
Blue Sky,
Tumblr.
Tumblr.
Tumblr. See that it's not even a thing anymore. So
I was
not
like, Tinder?
no. God, I hope not. Anyway.
Swipe thing?
Yeah.
I say it like I've even been on it. That would
Right.
be kind of fun, though.
Right.
I wish
Look, I've
somebody I
seen
knew
TV shows where they have it on there. Yeah, whatever. But yeah. So I think yeah, I do not even use Tumblr. Me either, Rachel. That's why it took me forever to come up with the name.
I
Yeah.
didn't even know it was still a thing.
I don't know that it is.
I thought it was like MySpace.
It might be. It might be. I don't know.
Or
That's my entire point, is that it was a thing. People abandoned their own thing to go to that thing, and it may not even be a thing anymore. Don't give up your thing.
When
Give up your
Facebook
land.
came out, there was one coach I was teaching at the high school, and this one coach, he called it the faith pages, and he was constantly referring to the faith pages. Mike Collier. God, I
have
love
a
him.
friend who refers to it as face bag, and that's just, it gives me the ick every time he says it. So, but
Book Tinder. We do need book Tinder. I always love those blind dates with a book when they wrap it up in the brown cover and you don't know what you're getting. And it's like, I always thought that's super fun.
That's what Goodreads should be.
That is.
Yeah, we need to develop that app. We need to talk to Jacob about that. Anyway, we're rapidly devolving. Thank you all for joining us today. We'll see you Monday, and we'll talk about WordPress sites and lots of other stuff next week.
That's right. You can't shut us up sometimes.
That's
Goodbye,
right.
everybody.
Have a great weekend, y'all.